And then I'm gonna be live on Instagram. Okay, so I'm like so excited. But like I wish Instagram oh, are you on Instagram?
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, come on this side too. Oh, would it be I wonder if it'll be interference. No, it shouldn't be.
I don't think so.
But we'll try it.
Okay, yeah. I don't know.
I'll invite you now. But if it
Okay,
happens to be, then we'll figure it out.
maybe I muted.
So yes, while you get that together, peace everyone. Yep, we won't be able to do it.
Okay, that makes
Can you
sense.
hear it? Because you just muted yourself on Instagram.
I can't hear any like
Okay, yeah,
interference on my end.
yeah. So you have to get off. Uh huh.
Okay.
Because it's I can hear the interference.
Okay, that makes
Oh,
sense.
okay. Next time we'll be able to figure it out that way.
Yeah.
But peace everyone. Welcome to oh my gosh, the first astrology weather report that Faith and I are going to be doing. This is so exciting.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so we're going to from now on well we're going to we want to do this on a monthly basis where we just basically collaborate on doing the monthly astrology reports. So this is going to be the first one, and we are going to be focusing on January since it's a new year coming up, or a new calendar year that's coming up. And so we already have the transits and everything that we want to talk to you all about. So we're going to eventually dive into those. Do you want to kind of talk about like the flow that we're going to take with them?
Yeah, so I mean pretty much we just want y'all to come in here, hang out, and learn how to work with the energy of the upcoming month. We're gonna work together with our schedules and try to do this every month just because I mean it just helps. It just helps knowing what's coming up and we just it's going to be like a playbook, so a play by play of what's going down each week with each planet, the major transits. It may not be like day by day, but
Yeah.
the major transits, and just talking as astrologers. So we hope you enjoy it. Give us some thumbs up if you're feeling it, and we're gonna vibe.
Yeah. So thank you for everyone that is currently on. And if you are into knowing the astrology for the month of January, we're about to get into that right now. So I guess we have the first transit, which, well, okay, so we're talking about the major transits. These are not all of the transits for January. These are just the ones that we feel are going to be the most prominent, or the ones that are a little easier, as if anyone is joining us is a beginner and they can sort of follow along. So the first transit, or the major transit that we're going to talk about for January, is Venus entering Pisces, and that's going to be happening on January 2nd of 2025. So Venus in Pisces, actually, we could also get into this, and also everybody just bear with us because this is the first one, so we're still working through how we want to do it. But I guess we can talk about a little bit of Venus's energy and then Pisces, and then kind of like bring it together.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can go ahead. Mm-hmm.
All right. So Venus is all about, if you're new to astrology, it's all about love, abundance, beauty, aesthetic. But a lot of people also don't highlight the fact that it's also about community and sisterhood or brotherhood. So when you combine that with the energy of Pisces, Pisces is all about going deeper. I like to think about like Neptune energy because it's ruled by Neptune and Jupiter. So think about in the ocean. You see everything in the ocean. You see the beautiful fishes. You even go deeper. You might see some ugly ones, things like that. So Pisces energy is very dreamy, it's very otherworldly, but it's also very, very spiritual and intuitive. When you
Yes.
find that together, that energy is art itself. That energy is beautiful. It's Venus is literally exalted in Pisces because of that. So we're
Yeah.
gonna go through this process of just overall ethereal, just feeling good, everything's flowing. Everybody's gonna feel good anyway because happy
Yeah.
year, January 1st.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
yeah, so Venus is, yeah. So basically, especially with it being January, it's like, how can you bring more romance, and how can you make it in an ethereal way, right? So
Mm,
Pisces is all about the dream realm. So how can you bring Venus and Pisces together to create another world in your relationships? And it's all relationships. It's not just platonic or a relationship with your partner, but
yeah.
how can you literally begin to create other worlds when this transit comes along in your actual relationship? How can you be more playful? How can you be more childlike?
Yeah.
And how can you just be more Neptunian, and be kind of stuck in your head or engaged in those relationships instead of the outside world?
Yeah.
So yeah, how can you bring it back a little bit and just make it beautiful, like you said?
Yeah.
Thank you. um, okay, so the second transit that we're going to talk about is January 3rd, 2025, and it's going to be Mars opposing Pluto. Now, we know Mars has been in his bag lately. Mars is walling, especially with Mars actually right now is in retrograde. So, with
Yeah.
Mars opposing Pluto, it's basically power struggles in a way. Pluto is very much energy of going to the depths, needing to know the truth, wanting to know the truth, not caring about your feelings in the moment, but needing to really just bring things out of you so that you could be a better person. Mars is the energy of let's go, let's get this together. How can we have a drive with this? So if they're opposing each other, they're basically saying like, I want to fight. Like they're like, I want to see, who's going to win the battle between the underworld and between actually taking action. So are you going to be able to empower yourself or to move forward when Mars is opposing Pluto because it's asking for change?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like change is necessary when it comes to that. I mean, even just we already kind of see that with Pluto and Aquarius, and now that we have Mars and Leo and it's retrograding. In general, Mars and Leo is like demanding of attention, but I
Yeah.
noticed as it's retrograding, it's starting to retrogrades are always for going inside or going and doing the inner work. So now I feel like a lot of people are starting to question, okay, who am I giving my attention to and why? Or where am I placing my attention? Because
Yes.
where attention goes, energy flows. So it's like
Yes.
this transit is going to be the epitome of that. Like, are you just giving your power away in a sense, or are you actually, creating a life force that's sustainable kind of thing? So,
Right. And also, since this is the beginning of the year, Mars is all about creativity. Also, it's all about your drive, your force.
yeah.
So, what type of changes do you need to make next year in your creativity that is going to transform you, that's going
Yeah.
to empower you or empower other people? So, Mars is kind of preparing us in Pluto for that too. All
Mhm.
of these different types of feelings that we kind of need to get stern on, or we need to understand so that we could move forward, so that we're not being in these passive ways of taking action.
Right.
So yeah, I think that that's going to be an interesting transit once that comes around.
So, and then
um,
feel like within the first week, it's like, okay, right out the door.
I know, like it's so crazy with the different energies because it's asking. So far, like that first week,
Mhm.
the transits are asking us to really get. Um, it's asking us to really find where we want to focus, but
Mhm.
it's also saying have fun too. Like, don't just only focus on your transformation, focus on your relationships,
Mhm.
because those may be the very things that help you get into your energy of Mars when it's opposing Pluto. Because if you're
That
not if you're not creating new worlds within yourself, if you're not tapping into your creativity, tapping into your Venus, how do you expect to take action on something when Mars comes?
yeah,
So yeah, that first week is like get it together. Yeah,
basically.
yeah, it's like get it together in your relationships, your life, the things you love, but also the things that you want to focus on.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yes. All right, so then we have Mars again, and we have January 6th, 2025, Mars retrograding into he enters Cancer. Like you said earlier, he's now in Leo. It's all about me. It's all about the shine. But when it gets into Cancer, now it's all about the depths. It's all about the emotions. It's all about what makes you feel good. And it's all about how can you how can you make sure the things that you're taking action in you actually care about. Because
Right.
Cancer, Leo, okay, Leo is
Get
saying
into it.
do it because of the money, do it because of the stardom, do it because of the fame, do it because you're going to be seen. But Cancer is like, no, I want to do it because it feels good. I want to do it because it fuels my emotions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is spot on. It's like, what do I care about, or how does this affect more than just me, or how far does this go, or how deep does this go? Like you said, I think it's really calling us to also build some type of emotional resilience. This is not the time to
Mm-hmm.
wear your heart on your sleeve, really. This is
Yes,
to build an internal system to where you validate you, and that is going to be more sustainable for the rest of 2025 if you build that foundation now versus
yes.
later.
And also Mars in Cancer, which is that's my placement. It's also asking patience. How
Yeah.
can you be a little bit more patient with your the action that you're taking? Because Mars and Cancer, we're not. You can't get us to do something we don't want to do. Like
Talk about it.
you, if we don't care about it, you're not going to get us to do it. So it's about learning patience, learning to choose certain things that actually feel good instead of trying to do everything like a Leo probably would.
Yeah.
It's about choosing the things that actually feel good. We're not saying that you can't do multiple things, but make sure that you're focusing on the stuff that feels good to you, and that because if you don't feel good about it,
It's that
that
gut.
drive is non-existent.
Yeah.
Okay, and people are
Y'all,
gonna think we're lazy. Yes, it's just now we just have to really do things that we care about. So this is a time to go inward. Like you
mm,
said, retrograde is inward, is introspection. This is a time to actually really get clear on the things that you want to do that feel good emotionally so that you can have the drive for the remainder of the year.
for sure.
Okay. So the next transit that we have, January 8th, 2025, this is Mercury entering Capricorn. Now, Mercury and Capricorn. I love Capricorn energy, but
Mm,
Mercury is good in Capricorn because Capricorn don't play. So Capricorn is going to want to detail everything out, and what better way to do that than when Mercury is around?
back.
The energy is favorable in a sense of you get to be very detailed, very structured, and making sure that you're communicating things that actually matter with solution. Capricorn is not about not having a solution at the end of anything that they need to communicate. So it's about long-term goals. It's about being strategic, and it's also about just creating that foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also like, don't get so caught up in the perfectionism of it either. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, like for you to really act on these great ideas, because Capricorn is very like, okay, but what's the bottom line? So everybody's
Uh-huh.
gonna be this, everybody's gonna have an answer around this time. Everybody, this is how you should do your New Year's resolution. This is how you should do 2025. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
what works for you? Don't focus on the perfectionism of it, or just getting like so stoic, kind of that Saturn energy, but still
Yes.
keep that versatility of Mercury and think for yourself. But
Yes.
like you're saying, be about it or don't even try. Like, don't play at all.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Because Mercury, like you said, is so many different aspects to the planet itself
Hmm.
that Mercury has a lot of dimension, a
Yeah.
lot of it's communication, it's short travel, it's all of these different ways of communicating that can come into different ways. But it's like you said, how can you not be so Saturn like,
Hmm.
but still knowing that you need to create, like it's asking to create that type of foundation within your communication, within your planning, and all of that.
Hmm.
But yeah, not being a perfectionist about it. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I'm trying to see. Um, I want to make sure that I didn't forget anything between that. But I think the next one is going to be January 11th, 2025. We have North Node retrograding into Pisces.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
that's gonna be some interesting times.
very interesting. North Node is nothing but, it's so crazy because North Node is nothing but karmic energy, is nothing but following your intuition to get to where you're supposed to be, where you intuitively feel called. And
Yeah,
Pisces, again, with Neptune, is
yeah,
about spiritual growth. North Node is about spiritual growth. So these two energies, that's double the spirituality, that's double the spiritual growth, that's double the needing to surrender and trust yourself.
that
A
part.
lot of that.
It's gonna be this literal impulsive need for order or structure, and it's gonna take us to let go of how we're normally doing things in the normal way of things, and
Mhm.
be open to other new ways. Because I mean, we're still like we talked about. It's a lot of Aquarian, Capricorn, like it's a lot of Saturnian energy, and I don't know. I haven't looked at the degrees on where it will be, but I assume it's not gonna be that close to Saturn, but Saturn is still in Pisces as well. So it's going to be this teeter tottering of, okay, do I focus on what I need to do as far as like
Mhm.
my spiritual evolution, or am I still reaching out for escapism and just trying to, put a band aid over an open wound? Like, no, like let's
Mhm.
really go deeper and heal kind of thing.
Yeah. And it kind of takes us, it's so interesting because we literally just talked about that with Mercury entering Capricorn. And
Yeah.
Mercury isn't just communication with other people, it's communication with yourself. So it's also it's asking that, and then it brings us to the North Node retrograding in Pisces. It's like you literally just said, don't be so strict on yourself. Don't be
Mm,
so Saturn when it comes to this, because Pisces is coming right behind it with the North Node and
yeah.
saying, hey, no, listen to your intuition, listen to all of these different things that's going to allow you to keep your focus,
Yeah.
but don't do it in a way that, like you said, are you avoiding or are you escaping, or are you not forgetting the fact that, the North Node is here to also just kind of shift you towards where you can sort of play a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of play a little bit with that Pisces energy. But Saturn, like you said, is all around. And how can we just balance the two? Because there is going to be that fight, that tug, and that pull.
Mm.
Um, so that's interesting that those two transits are literally right behind each
I think
other.
like
It's
first,
taking us through the development of everything.
yes, like the first
Mhm.
like, okay, here's like boot camp week 1, and then week 2 is over. Like we're not playing.
Yeah, week two is like, nah, we gotta, you need to know what you were working on, what you were focusing on prior to that, because now you have to actually shift your nature into releasing the control of everything.
Yes.
Even though you got your foundation, now
Mm,
release it.
yeah, now it's actually time to build on it. Like we're not getting
Yes,
no breaks.
exactly. Like release the control around it, but still push forward.
Yeah.
Okay. So another transit that we have coming up for January 13th, we're
Mhm.
gonna have the full moon in Cancer, which is the first full moon of the month.
Yeah.
Um, so full moon in Cancer, that is full moon energy is all about releasing, all about letting go, and letting go of what no longer serves you. So if it's in Cancer, Cancer is the emotions. It's the mother. It's basically asking you to reevaluate your home life, reevaluate your emotions,
Yes.
and just kind of check in with yourself to see where you are. Also, full moon in Cancer could also be saying how can you start to release certain things by getting. I think we were talking about like certain practices. Cancer is really good for that. Getting into the practices so that you could have that emotional intelligence or that emotional balance within yourself, especially during a full moon period where you need to actually release a lot of the emotions that might have been burdening you or
Yeah.
anything of that nature.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if based on everything we just said prior to this full moon, if you actually use this energy the way that we're guiding you, by the time of the full moon, you will be so full of love and just the restructure and the work that you've put in for yourself that at that point everything else must go like all
Yes.
urine cell, everything must go, like that kind of vibe where it's like that's no longer serving you. You're so full that it's just you're not even gonna have time to play like that. And
Yeah.
Cancer is on the, it's a sister sign of Capricorn. So it also, even though it is more playful, it's more flowy, it's more versatile, it's definitely
More
more.
passive.
Don't forget about that structure that's on the other end of it that you can apply to, like once you set up that structure, basically you're giving yourself the free range to play and to tap into that Cancerian energy and to, because it's ruled by the moon. So that intuition and that spiritual guidance that again we talked about with the North Node, that is going to be fully activated during that time. So I think that's a great time to let go and as I say, let go and let God.
Let go and let God. Yeah, let go, let it be.
Yeah.
So it is, as above, so below,
Yeah.
all the things. Like so,
So
just like
mote
you
it
said,
be, baby.
exactly. So I actually really love that you tied that together because that's essentially. It's so interesting that people like is this type of stuff that you can't make up.
You
If you
can't.
really take a look at everything that the transit is going through, everything that the story that is trying to create for us as a collective and as an individual, it is literally saying, get your ish together. This is the time to do this. This is the time to let go of your emotions. This is the time because I'm preparing you for something.
Hmm.
Whatever that preparation is, whatever that end goal is different to everybody. But the transits are literally taking us through these different pillars of self development and self growth that we have to go through. And mind you, this is a repeated cycle. We are now in year 9. So this is the last, if we're talking numerology, this is the year to do all of this, to
Yeah.
get your foundation together. Although, 9 is about, the humanitarian, but
Mm,
it's also the last year of that cycle.
mhm.
So it's about releasing the things that no longer serve you because now once 2026 comes around, that's a whole new cycle. That's
Whole
a
new
whole new everything as far as like now you need to start actually creating the foundation of everything that we're going through for these past 9 years. So I find it interesting that January is kind of already, like we said, is taking us through all of that because it's going to set the foundation for the rest of the year.
for sure.
Yes. Okay. So the next transit that we are going to be discussing, January 15th, 2025, the sun opposing Mars. Now, this one is very interesting because we are literally, again, it's taking us. So now that we have eliminated the emotions of the things that no longer serve us,
Mm,
now we have to put our egos aside.
literally.
Like now the sun is like, I'm here. Mars is like, I want to do all these different things, but it's like, it's opposing it. So
Mm,
we have to put our egos aside in order to be able to stick to that foundation that we created,
mm,
but to learn how to also flow with life, but
yeah,
also how to really choose the things that we really want to focus on with all of the Cancer energy.
yeah,
So it's like, how can we how can we also collaborate more? Because the sun is not just about you. So
right.
now that we're in Pluto and Aquarius, the
Mhm.
sun opposing Mars is how can you collaborate with other people? It's not just about you no more.
It's not. It's about the collective. It's about the generation that you're within, really, and even other generations as well, depending on, your age. But overall it's gonna be this ego death, basically. And not really exactly like deep Pluto energy, even though, it'll be there.
Yeah.
Really, Mars is all, like you said, it's about our creative life force, it's how we do things, it's our willpower. But are
Right.
you so stuck in your ego where it's like, well, it's always been done this way? It's asking you to change it. Pluto is right behind it, creating that disruption. So it's like, what are you really going to do about it? Are you going to stay the same, or are you going to do something differently because yes, it's the new year and everybody has different new years based on nature. We're still in the season to where it is time to go inward. Animals are still in hibernation. So this is
Yeah.
your kind of like how they say in fitness, like summer bodies are made in the winter. So if you plan on
Yes.
out in April, May, well,
Mm-hmm.
got to do the mirror work and look that have that man in the mirror kind of moment.
Yes. And also something was coming to me like the sun is also about it's about you, it's about like, your individuality. It's also about your drive as well. It's about the things that you put your focus into. But
Yeah,
with it opposing Mars, if you're too self-driven in a
yeah,
sense of like, it's just me, 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 or you're super aggressive with that energy, Mars is like, you need balance. You
yeah.
need to balance it out because only because like if you're going to have these types of breakthroughs and if you're going to actually follow the transits and go through everything, if you're burning yourself out so quickly because you're like, okay, you know what, the sun is here, I want to like put myself out there so much,
Hmm.
it's like slow down. Like slow down, pipe your brakes, because that's where it's about us going back into the intuition, and just needing to lean a little bit more into just creating that balance between your drive and yourself, because the sun is also that too. So that's
Yeah,
double the drive, that's double the independence, that's double the no, I'm going to do this because I want to do it.
yeah.
So, and
And
during,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
What about play? I always forget that the sun traditionally rules the fifth house of play. And I think even when I think about the signs that they're in, Capricorn is very much so work hard. Cancer is more playful and more like emotional and just like jolly. So
Yes.
balancing that I'm a go, 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 go versus how can my practicality be based in a way that feels good to me and my routine makes sense for me?
Yes, yes. And also, when you said that, it reminded me of where my son is. So it's like, check where your son is, what house
Yeah.
it's in.
Yeah.
And, during this transit, try to like use that to find a balance
Mhm.
with that area of your life. So, like me, when you said that, my son is in the sixth house.
Mm,
So, how can during this time I actually find balance within my routines and all of these different things that I'm actually like taking that action on?
yeah.
Because if I'm too much into that go 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 energy, I'm not going to be able to find that. And then now I'm not taking care of myself because that's the whole wellness of the sixth house.
Right.
Um, yeah, so that would be a good transit to check that. I like that. I love that. So the next transit that we have is January 19th, and the sun is going to be entering Aquarius.
That I mean, like you said, you cannot make this up because now it's like now it's really just continuing what you said about it's not just about you because Aquarius is the humanity and it's all about
Mm,
us. It's all about human
yes.
we as a people. So I love that it's like okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's get together. Let's be the
Yeah, now that you're not so self-absorbed.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. So the sun, oh, so how can you, it's interesting though. Whoa, because okay. It's interesting because we're talking about how it might be asking us not to be so self-absorbed, but
Mhm,
with Aquarius, Aquarius is about the individual, but the
mhm.
Aquarian energy is about the individual within the community. That's
Exactly.
the difference. The sun is all about just me. There is no community.
Mhm.
But once we start to get into, the sun entering Aquarius, is what is your individuality within a community?
Yeah.
So now we just got you off the ego trip, but we're not necessarily saying to take away your individuality, but use that individuality for the community.
Yes.
Yes.
One part of the greater whole. You get into like the whole Christ consciousness and how is your individuality and what you bring to this world blessing and us like adding to the ascension of the universe basically or like the globe. So I
Right.
I think it's beautiful how this story is just really, really playing out in January. Like, I'm like, wow.
Hmm. I think it's so interesting that it's literally taking us, yes, it's taking us through all of that in January. But
Mhm.
not only that, because mind you, Pluto has been in and out of Aquarius since 2023.
Yeah.
So now that it's officially not going back into Capricorn, there's no more back and forth energy with it. It's starting us off as soon as the calendar year comes up. It's immediately starting us up on that energy. Because
Yeah,
if you notice, like, well, no, I can't really say that, but the last couple of transits that we had in December, it is about, some of it is about the preparation of all of these transits,
for
but
sure.
it's not really saying, it's not really giving us stories just yet. That story really starts in January.
Yeah.
But it is preparing us for the story, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
Build up
that's
is always
very,
there.
huh?
The build up is always there.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. And then also not only that buildup of those transits that we might be having in December, but the fact that
Mhm.
it's the winter solstice, which is a buildup in itself.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, that is a thing. Also, hold on one. Actually, you can take us through the rest of the transits.
Okay, cool. So the next one that I have is more Aquarian energy. So on the 27th, Monday the 27th, 2025, we have Mercury entering Aquarius. Now, this again just adds to the whole collective community and collective effect. Now, personally, I like Mercury in Aquarius, but again, it's another Mercury that is Saturn ruled. So it's going to be interesting to see how you're balancing, your logic and moving fast and doing all of these things. Well, the other side of this energy is slow down, take it easy, set boundaries, do this, do that. But I think it's gonna be, I kind of think about like the scientific method with this energy, where it's like
Hmm.
everybody's who's willing to test things out and think in alternative ways. This is going to be a great time to really understand that you have to look at the things in life, or like your life perspective, and through other people's lenses, or put yourself in somebody else's shoes, basically.
Yes, definitely put yourself in other people's shoes, because
Mm.
what's interesting about that is that that's going to be needed, that empathy. Like
Yeah.
once we're moving into all of these different Aquarian energies, it's like all of that's going to be needed. You're going to be in a community now, even though you have your individuality,
Yeah.
but how can you actually be a team player? How can you be a team player? How can you transition into that energy? Because you can have that individuality about you, but how are you able to use your discernment to actually be in those spaces when you're individual, but you need to create that whole picture?
Yeah.
So definitely team player energy.
Yeah, and I also think another thing that I just want to say is like, don't be so quick to shut things down or think like, oh, I already know this. Like, there's always some type of lesson to be learned, and I feel like
Yes.
Aquarian energy is so like, oh yeah, but that's boring. Like, I knew that already. Like, and it's like
Yes.
maybe because it's still an area,
Uh-huh.
right? But how can we go a little bit deeper? What's behind the surface level? Everything is not as it seems, kind of thing, which I know that's more like Pisces, but you get me.
Yeah. No, it goes into change with
Yeah.
Aquarius being ruled by Uranus. Like it goes into that, how can we have the liberation and the change? If you feel as though you know everything, that is where you mess up,
Yeah.
because you're not allowing for that change. You're staying stagnant. And
Base.
Aquarian energy is not about being stagnant. Oh, Aquarian Aquarian energy is not about being stagnant. It's about really embracing change, embracing freedom, embracing all these different ideologies. So if you think that you can't learn different things, Aquarius is like, yeah, you got it wrong. Because I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep showing you why you need to learn something different.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so then right after that, similar to the beginning of the month, Mercury and the Moon are just tag teaming here, low key. We
Hmm.
have Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, where we have a new moon in Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
This is where things get really, really interesting because the moon is all about, like you said earlier, emotional security. It's the subconscious mind, it's your mother, it's all these different things. And then you
Yeah.
add to this collective energy, but it's like you inside of the collective, how are you showing up? What seeds are you planting? In general, the new moon can be a great time to sow the seeds and really set intention moving forward for the next year. This is, yeah, because this is the first new moon of the year. So
Yeah.
it's intentions for the next month, like February, but also setting the tone for the rest of the year using this new moon energy. So,
Yes. It's literally what I just said. It's
yeah.
like, how are you embracing change? So this new moon is
Can,
the new moon is literally saying, okay, it's time to embrace change. We just took you through the full moon. Um, hold on, let me the full
can,
moon in Cancer, where
yeah.
you needed to release your emotions surrounding the things that no longer served you, because I just literally took you through releasing all of that. So now it's like now you get to actually start cultivating that innovation, cultivating those new ideologies of your emotions, of the things that you have finally decided to focus on when Mercury was in Capricorn, and all these other different transits that we had, like the North Node retrograding in Pisces. Like all of these different things are now saying, okay, now let's put it together because we are in the age of Aquarius. So this is the time. I find that so interesting that it's a new moon in Aquarius,
Yeah.
like in
And
January.
I honestly would not be surprised if you see a boom of technology around this time or like some major technical
Something new.
announcement or advancement. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have the sun in Aquarius, you have the new moon in Aquarius, and
Yeah.
this next transit is about Uranus. So it's all of this Saturnian and then Uranus rules technology coming through. It's
Yes. A lot of it. And
yeah.
a lot actually on a more mundane level,
Mhm.
when these transits are happening, think about those innovators that are saying, you know what, I feel like now is the time. I don't
Ex-
want to keep this to myself. I want the world to know about this. So you know what? I am ready to start a launch as an individual. I'm making the decision in an Aquarian way to do a launch on something that's going to bring people together. So
yeah.
they're taking it from the, okay, I'm keeping this in. This is me. This is something that I've been working on. And now I'm willing to bring it to the community, which is the collective, which is us.
Hmm.
So, like you said, that was a great way of putting that. There could be a lot of new technology advancements that come up around this time or moving forward. Because, mind you, when it comes to these cycles, mind you, 6 months ago, we had a full moon in Aquarius where people had to let go of certain ideologies. They had to let go and embrace change. So
Yeah.
now they've embraced that change over the last 6 months. They're now ready to come into that new moon energy of of bringing forward those innovations that they needed to shift on their perspective of whether they wanted to have that fresh start or not. So all those people that 6 months ago made a decision that, I'm going to release this and I'm going to actually start to want to put it out there, that's
Mm,
what's exactly what's going to happen. So
yeah.
over these next 6 months, we're going to see that come out more. Like you said, we're going to see people just announcing all these different things
Mm,
around technology, just like Elon, within 6 months of whatever that he decided to release back then, right? Now all
mhm.
of a sudden he's putting out into the world that he has a robotic girlfriend. This just so happened now during that 6 months where he needed to let go of all of these different things surrounding Aquarian things,
Mhm.
right? Oh,
Mhm.
so now you got a girl, now you got a robot girlfriend that you take into dinner when the new moon in Aquarius is coming up.
Come on.
Come on now. Come on
And
now.
let's just segue this next transit even more. So the next transit I have is Thursday, January 30th. Uranus goes direct. Uranus
Yes.
and so
Woo!
Uranus has been retrograde and now it is finally going direct in Taurus. And I definitely
Yes,
think we have seen this with several technology companies, but I'm sure, I just feel like Elon will pop up with something for sure
he
in
is.
Tesla around this time. Now,
Uh-huh.
one that I did find very, very interesting is okay, Uranus. We know Uranus controls technology, change. I call it the plot twist in it.
Breakthroughs.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Definitely breakthroughs. And Taurus rules money, physical possessions, materials, right?
Yep.
we
Earthly things.
we have seen so many booms when it comes to cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, altcoin, things like that. So I
Mhm.
would not be surprised if we see another boom concerning these cryptocurrencies. The US government has been buying and buying, buying more into cryptocurrency.
Yes.
Not be surprised if we see a whole new thing now that Uranus is direct.
Yes. And also with now that we talk about, Uranus being in Taurus right now, with it going direct with all of this Aquarian energy, if people who are into the stock market, into crypto, it's going to be a bull. It's going to be a bull run for sure. We have like Aquarius is doing all of these different things, is asking for all of this change
Mm,
right before Uranus goes direct. Mind you, Uranus was in retrograde, so it was putting together all of these big breakthroughs, making people have the breakthroughs. I can't talk right now.
are
you
you
know,
good?
going, taking people through all of these breakthroughs and things like that. So now when it goes direct, people are ready to, like we said, like Elon, he's ready to bring out his girlfriend. It's all these energies just showing itself a little early.
Hmm.
So when Uranus goes direct, I don't see how there cannot be a bull run
Yeah.
in crypto, and because all of these different technologies that are going to be coming out, it's like now the money, the tangibleness of everything that rules Taurus is going to be heightened again, because it
Yeah.
was just in solitude. So there may have been a lot of fluctuation with the markets and things like that. And I'm not an astrologer who focuses on the markets at all, but just it's just taking us through that story of it.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't see that not being a thing, is
No,
what I'm saying.
definitely think there's going to be some type of boom. I am an astrologist that likes to apply it to the stock market.
Yes.
So far, I haven't looked at it for the month of January. I'm gonna be honest, but I know
Hmm.
even if it's not for the entire year, that
Hmm.
point, like that might set the tone. Like if it's going down in January, set the tone for February to where it is a bull run in February, specifically
Yes.
for cryptocurrency. Um,
Right.
I also want to touch on the fact that Taurus, again, it's about stability, right? So within our personal lives, a lot of us, your stability might be challenged. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not
For
going to
sure.
sugarcoat it. You might face situations to where it's asking you to change in a way. And if you are not, your stability could be not necessarily at risk, but it's definitely going to be some type of change that, because, Taurus, I have a Taurus moon and a Taurus MC. So Uranus has been retrograde all in my ninth house.
And I'm a Taurus sun, so it's been in my sixth house. It's
Okay.
been asking change of my health, my routine, all these different. So I
Yeah.
know. Yes.
Yeah. The way I'm working and I'm showing up with business and career and things like that is asking me to
Yes.
differently. So I can tell you firsthand that is where you can look to see where Taurus is within your chart, and that'll obviously give you more information. But there is going to
Yes.
be some type of change. And I'm just telling you now, within that area of life, you may be more stubborn, but you're going to need to embrace that flexibility and just be adaptable in that area of your life.
Yes, yes. One thing about Taurus, energy, it's like once you do, find whatever you're gonna be lashed on, whatever it is that you want to focus on, you're gonna have that energy, you're gonna have that drive to do it. Now, the fact that, Uranus is there just saying like this is the area where change needs to happen the most. And like you said, if you're staying the stubborn Taurus, Uranus is like, no, we're not here to do that. Like, I don't know what you thought this was,
But
but we need you to be stubborn, but we need you to be stubborn about change.
Mhm.
Um, because if you're not, then it's gonna that forcefulness, like you said, it may not be as pleasant of a transit because you're so fixating, you're so fixed on, one way of doing things, when Uranus is saying no, we're here to switch up the bowl, we're here to switch up all these different things. I think that, like you said, because that is on the 30th. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely a preparation for February. And how the market can potentially change, but not just with February, but over the next six. When how long
July.
Uranus is going to be direct for?
Well, it goes into Gemini in July. So
Oh, yes.
based on what you're saying, pretty much if you don't make this change by July, you're gonna find out for sure. Cause
Yeah.
it's
And
a slower moving planet, but it'll get you.
yes. And then I find that interesting that it's going to be moving into Gemini after that, because that is the duality. That is it's two sides. So if you don't get it together now and find something a little bit more tangible, those next that Uranus going into Gemini, you're gonna keep you're gonna keep fighting yourself.
Yeah.
There's going to keep being, oh, I want change, I don't want change, I want change, I don't want it. But
Hmm.
Gemini is saying you could be multiple things.
Yeah.
So if you're not allowing yourself that change to be these different things, and you're not finding what it is that you want to do while you're in Taurus, while you're getting that stability, it ain't gonna work out. It ain't gonna work out in Gemini, because Gemini is like, look, is no this or that. It's multiple things, but if you don't
Yeah.
know you're this or that, you're gonna get caught up in so many other different things.
You're gonna be lost in the sauce. As a Gemini sun, I can attest. Like it's I can do
Yes.
a whole lot, but if I'm doing nothing at all, I'm useless. Like
Yes. So yes. Wow. So to kind of recap and bring it all together, we've been saying it throughout the entire life, but January is about change ultimately, especially with us having Uranus go direct on the 30th at the end of the month.
hmm
It's like we've taken you through this entire story of finding your individuality, finding what you're emotionally fueled by, so that
hmm
your Mars energy can really take center stage moving forward.
hmm
Um, Going through your emotional wounds, or going through the things that no longer serve you during the full moon, so that you can really begin to shift your perspective to bring in that change.
Yeah.
That whole month is about literally preparing yourself, um, for all of these different things and aspects that you're going to need to start focusing on when we're in Aquarius. And also, it's about letting go, being dreamy, but also creating a foundation around that, having fun with the foundation. That's what that Aquarius energy is about when we're talking about everything with Capricorn energy, Mars, and all these different things. Yes, create a foundation, but have fun with it. Dream a little, be a
Yeah.
little more ethereal with it.
Yes. I have 100% agree. I think that this is a setup that you can use for your come up. I mean, pretty much all throughout the month, you're learning, learning, learning. And then by the 30th, it's going to be the ultimate test as the plot twist, the change, the breakthroughs happen. But if you aren't setting foundations like we talked about through the month of January, then it could feel more like turmoil to you towards February when Uranus does go direct,
Yeah.
which tune back in. We'll have another session where we'll talk about February, but let's go ahead and get a head start and
Yeah.
do the work now.
Yes. And this ties so perfectly into what I do as far as numerology.
Mhm.
Numerology helps puts us into these little focus points.
Yeah.
So when we're in the transits, it's like, how do we use all of the different cosmic tools that we have to make sure that we're staying organized in our lives or different areas. So it's also about tracking the houses that these transits are going to be in for you, and saying, hey, I know when, the full moon is going to be in this house. So this is what I'm going to focus on when this transit comes around. Now, also, we got to be mindful when it comes to using astrology in your life. It is
Mm-hmm.
not something that's supposed to be, um, you're not supposed to, how can I put this? You're not supposed to drive yourself crazy. We may be giving you the transits and we may be saying, hey, these are the things that are coming up. But if you're not feeling that energy, you don't have to force it. If you already are in a space within yourself where your mindset is like, oh no, I already have everything I'm focusing on, just reinforce it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, do I have to double check? And no, just basically just reinforce and reinforce the things that you know that you want to do within yourself. So just because there's a transit happening telling you that you need to focus on this one part of your life, if you've already done that, you don't need to do that again. You can simply move forward, push on, just reinforce it with a little bit of affirmation to yourself and saying, hey, you know what? I feel aligned. I'm already aligned with this transit, so I don't need to feel the need to do something. Not every transit requires everyone to do something. And I feel like I want to just put that out there because this is for the collective. This is for the mundane as well. As a collective, it's taking us through these different things. It may not always be on an individual level. It
Right.
could be saying, "Hey, it's time for the world to get out of its own head or out of its own demanding energy with Capricorn, right? Because we're moving out of that. So yeah, just to kind of put that out there too. Like it's not just about needing to feel like you need to focus on every single thing, especially if your life is already in a specific way that you want it to be in. Just sort of keep going with the flow. That means
Yeah.
you're on the right path.
Agreed. Agreed.
Mhm. Okay, so that was the last transit of January.
Yeah.
And honestly, we did really well. We've been on for about 51 minutes, so less than an hour. Well, a little close to it. And we talked about everything and we went into details with a lot of stuff. We did not just surface level any of these transits. We actually were able to really dive into each of them, even talked about topics that involve a lot of the transits as far as I liked when we talked about crypto and the market and it being bullish based on the transits. And that's just observation. But you are
Yeah.
someone who actually does look at the finances of astrology. And I have been wanting to get into following the market. So that's why I wanted to tap in with you on your webinar that you just did
Yeah.
about being able to track your finances and stuff like that. So that was amazing. So I think that all these different transits is really setting us up because Uranus is the catapult for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be some interesting times because right behind that in February, which we'll get into on the next live, but in February, I believe Jupiter goes direct. So that's gonna
Mm,
be, and
that's going to be amazing.
that's also
So
gonna
all that hard work, yes, all the hard work and all of the things, if you actually start putting in the work, you made the change, here's the reward.
here's the expansion.
Here's the, yes, I love that. Oh, I can't wait to get into that. That's going to be
Yeah.
good. That's going to be great. Um, so to close this out, thank you for those that joined us on this very successful. I loved it.
Yeah.
It appeased. It appeased to me so much. I loved this. I love the talk. I love the flow of everything. So, we continue it this way, and obviously it's going to evolve into what it evolves into. But I really love this, and I cannot wait for the next one. If anyone that is still on, my name is Tyler, and I'm an astrocartographer. And also, what I do is I help people apply these tools to their lives. So, a lot of the stuff that we were talking about, I can pretty much just help us get organized around all of this information if you're someone that needs a little bit of change or push in your life to want to follow the transits. Because once you get on board with it, naturally, but being intentional about it, your life is going to just tend to flow that way. So some transits you will feel, some transits you won't. And so that's another part of this. So I'm going to put all of my information below. so that you all can contact me. And then Miss Faith.
Yes, so I am also an astrocartographer as well as a financial astrologer. So, as she mentioned before, I recently had a webinar where we discussed how to organize your finances, your finances using astrology. If you missed that, that's okay. The replay is available on my beacon. So it's just, any type of social media, you can find me at Faith Grace Inspires, and you can check the link in my bio to figure out how to work with me. And yeah, I would love to connect with you guys.
Yeah, so in the description is going to be all of our information, all of our links to our events, and we will see you all next month.
Bye.
Yes, see, I'm gonna this one.